Let's freaking go, everybody. We got the whole squad in here. We got Jason Aponte. We got the dual stream action today on this beautiful day for playoff football. Jason, what is the damn vibe right now?
All black, ready to go to war, and no more talking. Wait, except for this. We're going to talk a little bit more, and then it's no more talking, okay, after that.
Absolutely, dude. It's freaking nuts. We're already starting to see some video coming out from AT&T Stadium. 49er fans are absolutely there, present, and ready to go. Before we start talking about all the storylines and everything that we got going for this game, let's talk about some of the people that we are going to have officially back for the San Francisco 49ers. Azeez Al-Shaair will be back today, Jason. The 49ers are healthy as can be. How are you feeling about that addition of getting Azeez Al-Shaair back in the mix?
All hands on deck, and we're just going to have to figure out where this rotation lies because you know that the 49ers like to use K'Wan Williams in certain situations. So who is the linebacker that is going to be next to Fred for more of the snaps? That's going to be very interesting, but it's a great problem for the 49ers to have. As usual, the team that's the health – well, not as usual, but usually the team that is the healthiest, playing the best ball, is the team to be afraid of. So now Trent Williams is back. This offense has everybody that they need. Trey Sermon was an inactive today, but Azeez Al-Shaair and K'Wan Williams having them back officially is a beautiful thing, and the 49ers are ready to roll.
Absolutely. We also have some other inactives that just came out right before we came on. No Jalen Moore, no Talanoa Hufanga, no Trey Sermon, no Diamador Lenore, no Marcel Harris, no Maurice Hurst, and no Darquez Denard, who was a special teamer last week. Any surprises that jump off that list to you from 49ers inactives?
Not necessarily. It really just tells me the confidence that they have with Colton McKivitz to back up Trent Williams and the confidence that Jaquiski Tartt is going to be fine all game for Hufanga to not be there. So it doesn't really tell me anything other than they have confidence and those guys are healthy and ready to roll. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. The Marcel Harris one is the one that is kind of like a little bit strange in my opinion, just because he's so flexible and can be put in certain spots in a pinch. You don't ever want to get down that road. But, yeah, but, yeah, I mean, realistically, it's just more about – now you kind of know how the 49ers feel in terms of confidence with certain guys. If Hufanga's not out there, they feel great about what's going on with Ward and Tartt.
Absolutely. It's going to be a wild ride as, again, we start to get some more information on who's going to be available, but it does feel like we are going to be as healthy as we have been all year. Obviously, you touched on it. Trent Williams is going to be back. We're going to have a lot of guys back ready to go. Man, this is exciting. How are you feeling today, Jason? Obviously, the 49ers didn't make it to the playoffs in 2020. Last time we experienced the postseason, it wasn't the best outcome. What's the energy like? What are you seeing from 49er fans across the internet? What's the vibe? What are we – I don't even know what else to fucking say. I'm swearing now. Jeez. What are you doing, man?
I love it. I love it. That's the vibe right there. You went through all the emotions. You're ready to get hyped. You're cursed. Like, that's the vibe right now. And, so close to, kickoff is when the nerves start to build, right? Like yesterday, what's your anxiety level? People were like, for me, 1 to 10, 0. I'm not thinking about the game just yet. When it gets to Sunday is when you start to feel it. And as you get closer to the game, once you get to that kickoff is when all those emotions start to happen. But that's the vibe, Brad, how you just described it. You just went through like 10 emotions right there. And that's pretty much what's going to happen this entire game. And I think that's the vibe. Look, confidence, you know that everybody's at the game right now going crazy. You saw the video of them running to their standing room. You see the faithful out there pre-gaming and the parties and the invasion. Like, you knew the 49er fans were going to come with it. I would say it's nothing but a bunch of energy right now, but the anxiety level for many just starts to build right away as we get closer to kickoff.
Absolutely. And let's bring in the Splash Cousin who's chilling down there at the bottom of the screen. How are we feeling today, my boy? 49ers, Cowboys, playoffs in the building. What's the vibe?
I'm not going to lie. I feel absolutely terrible. I am coming down with something, but I am going to power through this live and through this 49ers game. So not that, I don't want to sound selfish, but it'd be really nice if they could win this game today because then I can at least power through this. If they lose on top of whatever I'm dealing with right now, I'm going to be a little bitter tonight. I will be completely honest.
We got to come out and get this dub for Jordan, man.
Jordan flu game makes too much sense, bro, and that's it. That's what's happening right now. Like once this is done, make sure that you post, Jordan getting carried off by Pippen. Jordan is Jordan, and we're Pippen.
Put me in, coach. Put me in. I'm ready.
Absolutely. And let's get this thing started with some keys to victory. Let's start on the offensive side. And Jason, we'll start with you and then we'll rotate to Jordan. But what are going to be some of the keys to victory for the San Francisco 49ers offense to take down this Cowboys defense that has, DeMarcus Lawrence, all-pro, first-team all-pro Trayvon Diggs, first-team all-pro Micah Parsons, all the noise that we've heard from those guys. What are going to be some of the keys today?
Just figuring out a way to neutralize those guys and not put their best players in positions to win or in positions where they can succeed. And that means being in front of the sticks on third down. No, nothing longer than that, where Tom Compton has to block Micah Parsons for a long time. Obviously Trent Williams being back, you feel much better. I'm no disrespect to Lawrence, no disrespect to Gregory, but I have a lot of confidence in that guy on the left side. It's less about them and more about what I know about Trent. But it's about neutralizing them, making sure that Trevon Diggs is in a spot to take the ball away. I don't necessarily see them going out there and targeting him and doing that actively. I know the numbers about how much he's given up. If it's there, he'll take it. But the idea of looking over and saying, there he is, I want to go with him, I don't know if that's going to happen. So it's really interesting to figure out what Kyle is going to do to neutralize those guys, and what sort of game plan they're going to run, which we probably have the idea is going to be very run heavy at this point.
What do you think, Jordan?
I think that one of the things that Kyle Shanahan does, we obviously know how good he is at designing plays, calling plays, but more specifically, he's really good at isolating the weak link on an opposing defense and creating a situation where somebody who may not be particularly strong in a particular area ends up being the force player on a given play. So, for example, if a guy is not great at tackling in open space, Kyle does a really good job of getting guys like Kittle and Debo isolated on these guys. So I expect there to be a lot of quick passing game. I expect there to be a lot of window dressing and pre-snap motion and stuff. But ultimately, I think he's going to make this Cowboys secondary have to tackle. And they may come out early. Dan Quinn slowed him down in the past before with that defense. Not in Dallas, obviously. The last time they played, he was with Atlanta. But I think there's some familiarity there. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a slow start. But I do expect them to make the Cowboys have to earn every tackle over the course of 60 minutes. I understand it sounds cliche, but that physicality really does wear down. And we saw it in the Rams game. The Rams came out early, and they were doing a good job holding up against the run. They were doing a good job not biting on these play fakes. But when you have to deal with it play after play after play over the course of 4 quarters, it's going to ultimately wear you down. So I expect Kyle to not necessarily come out with some wild, play designs, having Debo throw the ball. I think it's going to be a much more fundamental game, and it's just going to be simply we have big, strong guys who are fast with the ball in their hands, and we're going to dare you to tackle them over the course of 4 quarters.
100%. Michael says Kittle due for a big game, especially with Dallas focused to attempt to stop All-Pro Debo. Fingers crossed for good, Jimmy. 1 turnover or less. All praise to Jason, Brad. You guys rock. And also the late addition of our boy Splash Cousin in the building. Rich also is saying offensive key is to run to the left. Trent is ready to knock heads. Other key is to control the amount of carries for Mitchell. I kind of agree with Rich. I think the 49ers have a great opportunity to establish dominance on the run. If they want to run to the left, that's fine. I'm seeing a situation where the 49ers try to set the edge and then they're going to counter cutbacks to mid zone and gap schemes on the inside. I think it's going to be a combination of whole kinds of stuff, but I'm really, really excited to see what this 49ers offense is going to offer. Switching gears to the defensive side, Jason, what are some of the keys to victories for this 49ers defense? Who's going to have to step up? Who's going to ball out for the 49ers on the defensive side?
It should just be doing what you've been doing, playing very solid run defense. But I believe that this is going to be a game for the interior linemen. Where you attack this offensive line should be near center. So I think DJ Jones, Eric Armstead, they have to have themselves a game. The sort of attention that Nick Bosa provides, and you get all that and everything as well. But a lot of the pressure that you're going to be able to get is probably from the inside because you really don't want to test Zach Martin, and they still do have some very good linemen over there in Dallas. So it's going to be, I think this is going to be one of the games where they're going to do what they've been doing in terms of run defense because they've done it for a large sample size and largely corrected a problem that they had going on early in the season where they gave up a bunch of 100-yard rushers, and now that's nearly impossible to get to, or it hasn't happened lately. So continue that, but I think that the interior linemen are going to have themselves a game because that's where you attack this offensive line, and just making sure that you keep the emphasis on turning them one-dimensional. I understand Dak Prescott's a great quarterback, but they haven't shown success when they haven't run the ball over 100 yards. I believe their record is 1-5 in games that they don't run for 100 yards. The 49ers have not allowed 100 yards for quite some time. So there seems to be some sort of correlation between them having to throw more and not having as much success. So if the 49ers play their game as usual, and as we sound like a broken record, if they play their game, they're very hard to beat. But I feel that that's particularly strong in this game because of the matchups and the way that they can attack weaknesses. Also, to your point offensively, when they were talking about running to the left, that's cool and all, but I like the idea of running right at Micah Parsons so you can eliminate him as well too. So it's Kyle's world and however he wants to run it. So, I mean, yeah, run behind the best left tackle in the world. I get that as well, but Kyle can do whatever he wants at this point, and that's largely how you neutralize pass rushes, is making sure you run right at them and don't necessarily go away from them.
Absolutely. And Jordan, same question to you. It's Kyle's world, but it's also Jerry's world, and D'Amico Ryans is going to have to do some stuff today against Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. Talk to me about what the defense has to do today to neutralize that offense.
I think they just need to come out and play a brand of football that we've seen them play where they're going to allow some points. Like, this Dallas team is really good, but they just can't allow the big play. They need to come out. They need to be fundamentally strong. They need to make plays in the open field, because what I don't see happening, as good as I think Dallas is I don't see them sitting there and just carving up this defense over the course of this entire game. Yes, there might be a play or two here or there where they're getting these big chunk plays. Again, they have really explosive receivers. But I think the 49ers need to make them earn, keep everything in front of them, play a game that's a complete opposite of that Arizona game was when they couldn't tackle anybody, and just kind of, again, focus on making them earn it. And I understand that sounds like super obvious and like, oh, everybody would do that if they could, but there are ways that you can do that by being a little bit more conservative, because I think with a quarterback like Dak, you are going to be much better off sending 4 and dropping 7 in coverage and relying on how good the defensive line is, rather than scheming up all these exotic pressures and leaving these corners. Like, you don't want to leave these corners on an island, because CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Cedric Wilson, Jarwin, Schultz, all these guys, they're so good. You don't want to leave your guys in that kind of position. So I think a fundamentally sound game plan, probably a lot of stuff where they're leaving 2 safeties over the top. I expect Jimmy Ward and Tart to be phenomenal in this game. Warner against those tight ends is going to be a really fun matchup to watch. But if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I just keep it simple, and I dare Dallas to stay patient and continue, because what we've seen sometimes with Kellen Moore is they try to run the ball, they try to do some stuff, doesn't work, and then they just start taking deep shots downfield. They call shot play after shot play. If you can get Dallas into a spot where they're getting impatient, I think that will be opportunistic for the defense, and then you might luck into a turnover too as well.
Did you guys happen to see the report that came out today from Jason La Canfora that was stating that if Mike McCarthy, for lack of a better wording, they said essentially if he loses today, they could fire him and hire the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, to take over. Do you think internally that could add any additional pressure, Jason, for that offense because the 49ers have it going on the other side too. This could be the last game of Jimmy Garoppolo. We're seeing, reports come out that the 49ers are committed to to Trey Lance in 2020. Likely going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. So there's a little bit of human element of playing for Jimmy. But do you think that could be a distraction on the other side if the head coach could potentially get fired in this game if he doesn't win? Or could that be a motivational point for them as well?
See, I don't know about that, because in Dallas, it's usually like that, where you're a one and done playoff run away from being fired, no matter who you are, right? Like, that's pretty much how Dallas is. That's how Jerry Jones moves. And as a Yankee fan, I know all well, George Steinbrenner used to fire people like it was a bodily function. There's your Seinfeld reference for today. But it's the same thing. I think it's the same sort of pressure that you have all the time at being the Dallas coach. And Mike McCarthy has made some questionable decisions when it comes to clock management, and that's always been his thing as well, too. Kellen Moore is the one who calls all the plays as well. It looks like they might be favoring him because of how that offense looks. But Mike McCarthy might be one of those mistakes waiting to happen, and he didn't need to hear that to make it feel any other way. But I think that there's always that thing in the back of your mind. If you're a Dallas Cowboy coach, you have a talented team, everybody starts talking about you should make a deep run, and if you're one and done, you probably got to look over your shoulder just because of the way things go and how Jerry is at times, and especially because we always make the joke, Mike McCarthy got the job because he walked in and said, I just signed up for PFF Elite, and they said, hire this man. He's embracing the analytics. So, but yeah, that's what I got.
Absolutely. What do you think, Jordan?
I don't know, like Jason nailed it. Like if you play in Dallas or you're a coach in Dallas, if you do anything in Dallas, you're gonna be under a level of scrutiny that maybe the only other place it's as high is New York. But I think Dallas, just for the brand and football specifically, it's definitely bigger. Um, I'm not a big fan of Mike McCarthy's, to be honest. I don't like dislike him or anything, but he's just like people always blamed Aaron Rodgers for falling short in the playoffs, and I never heard Mike McCarthy get any of the blame. And some of the decisions, like I think back to that 2000 and I guess it was January 2015, but that year that the Packers went to Seattle in the NFC Championship game, McCarthy cost them that game, and everybody blames that poor dude who fumbled the ball on the onside kick. McCarthy lost them that game in the second quarter when he got way too conservative, way too early when they could have put that game away. And I'm not a big fan. Like he's not a guy that I'm like, hey, no matter what happens this year, like we need to bring him back. Like he's too good to let go. Like I've defended Kyle Shanahan when he's had 3 losing seasons in 5 years because I see something there. I don't see that with Mike McCarthy. Maybe they're worried they're going to lose Kellen Moore, so they might be more inclined to do that. But I don't think it's going to create any. Like it's not going to be like they go down early and all of a sudden there's tension and it's like, oh, this guy's going to take my job and they're fighting on this. Like no, I don't think that's going to happen. But it wouldn't surprise me. The Cowboys have a really good team, and I think that's one thing that, as much as I like the Niners' chances today, based simply on like matchup and the style of this game, the Cowboys have a really good team. And if they get bounced in this round by arguably their biggest rival in the history of their franchise at home, I could see Jerry Jones. Like I just read an article moments ago that was somebody in New England from New England Sports Network, which is like their big, like their NBC Sports Bay Area, talking about if it's in the best interest of the Patriots to have Bill Belichick come back. So if people are going to throw out rumors about, I'm not even kidding you, I thought it was like an onion piece or something. It was, if Bill Belichick's job isn't safe, you can bet your ass that Mike McCarthy's job isn't safe, because it comes back to, I think so many of these guys are seeing these younger head coaches that are these bright offensive minds, which you could, say that Kellen Moore fits that mold, are having so much success that these guys who are a little bit older and that outdated kind of archaic coaching philosophy are getting kind of pushed out the door. I'm not necessarily saying that's like, a good thing, but it definitely, like, there is a track record of success with a lot of these young offensive coordinators. And maybe the Cowboys just feel that there's time to make a change. There's time to do that, which I don't say it would be surprising, but it's kind of weird because they let Jason Garrett stay there for a decade and he wasn't
True.
when he was there. All he did was clap on the sideline. Like,
I love it. I love the sneak shots there at Jason Garrett on the way out. It could be a situation where it could be, if they do lose, they don't want to lose Kellen Moore too. And you talked about the young offensive coordinator, the young offensive minds. They don't want to lose him to potentially a division rival or, a conference opponent. So you never know. They could move on. But we have a good question here from Cesar in the chat. He said, who should start at linebacker opposite of Fred Warner? Is it going to be Azeez Al-Shaair or Greenlaw? I'm going to start with you, Jordan. What do you think it's going to be?
100% Azeez Al-Shaair. Dependent on this, though. If he's physically able to play at 80% of the level he was at this season, like if he can match that, he doesn't have to be 100%, but if he's at least 80, I would go with him. I think that Dre Greenlaw is a more than adequate linebacker. I just think Al-Shaair is better. I think Kyle Shanahan kind of supported that statement when he stuck with Al-Shaair when both were healthy earlier in the year when Greenlaw first came back. Greenlaw had a couple of plays last week that were I was a little nervous about, where he could have been flagged for some roughing, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And it seemed like he was a little amped up, which I understand. Coming back after being out for that long has to be tough. But I actually expect them, the majority of teams are going to be in nickel most of the time now. You're going to see guys in sub packages. They're not really going to be in base defenses. Against this Cowboys offense, depending on how it goes, I wouldn't be surprised to see Al-Shaair, Greenlaw, and Warner on the field a ton today because of how versatile all three are at linebacker. Obviously, you don't want to have him lining up against Wilson or Cooper, one of these guys in the slot. But if Dallas is coming out and they're trying to establish the run early and they're trying to, get very physical, Dre Greenlaw still brings a tremendous amount of physicality. So I think that they can kind of mix and match both. But based on the way Al-Shaair played this year, I would have a really hard time replacing him, especially when it's just two linebackers out there. I thought that Al-Shaair and Fred Warner were one of the better linebacker duos in the league when they were out there at the same time together.
Yeah, what do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to be pro Alshire, but provided the fact that he can play well as well. But again, I understand why Dre Greenlaw was so hyped last week. It took him a long time to get there. Had his shot right in front of him, right with Aziz Alshire not there, and he's like, "Hey, man, play like your hair's on fire." And it's easier to calm somebody down than to tell them, "Hey, man, you got to get a little bit more aggressive," right? Like it's easier to
Right.
say, "Dude, just control that a little bit." So it's fine. That's fine and all, but again, it's all going to come down to game script and how things are going, right? Like if they're going to be running guys out there, then you want K'Wan Williams out there for at least the chance that he can blitz or just cover somebody in the slot, and you feel okay with that. So it's really just going to come down to how the game goes and what's the game script and what's going to call for. Because I wouldn't be surprised that you see all three, but if we're talking about starting one and it's going to be in these passing down situations, then I think it would be Aziz, just because he's able to stop the run from those situations if they want to get cute and show a look and come out of there and things like that. He's been too good all year. And I think that what Jordan said is absolutely true. Kyle Shanahan kind of said the same thing when they were both back. He still was playing more snaps than Greenlaw. So yeah.
Absolutely. So that's 2 for Aziz Al-Shaair. Rich is going to make it 3, saying Greenlaw was a loose cannon last week. Can't have that in the playoffs. He wants Aziz, and let's make it 4. I'm going to go ahead and say I kind of agree with everything that all 3 of you are talking about. I agree that I like Aziz, what he offers, what he's done this year, and when there was an opportunity to have both linebackers available, Aziz was the one who got the nod. But we're going to find out. We're going to see what D'Amico Ryans does, who he actually trots out there. But I like the point of playing all 3. We could see a matchup, especially if they get run heavy with Zeke and Pollard, where we could see all 3 linebackers on the field, which is a good thing for the San Francisco 49ers. Give me, Jason, one player, one standout on offense and why, and one standout on defense that you anticipate are just going to have monster days that contribute to a hopeful 49ers W against the Cowboys.
All right. Well, I'm going to take some pretty obvious ones, and thank you for letting me go first. Debo Samuel is going to have himself a game because of the way that they use and for what Jordan brought up about making those guys tackle. Bigger men don't want to tackle that man. Now let's make I believe they rank at the lowest or at the bottom in terms of run defense grades, which hashtag fits my narrative. Thank you, PFF. So I'm going to go ahead and run with that. Debo Samuel, that's a pretty easy one. On defense, I think this has got to be a Fred Warner game in terms of being able to be that guy where in a pinch, if you can man that middle of the field and take that away and not give away anything that you're trying to do in terms of predictability when you have certain packages on the field and you're able to cover more things up, and he's able to get back a little bit more to, he's had a fine season, but that all pro season that we thought we were going to get this season. I mean, he's been great, but just a bigger game from him. I think Warner's got a shot in this game to play very well, because I want to see what he does in terms of, can he cover Jarwin? Can he cover Schultz? And really not put the 49ers in a spot where they look like, they're getting their look and exactly what they're running. They could run anything out of it and take care of both.
Absolutely. So Jason is going with Debo Samuel on offense and going with Fred Warner on defense. I want to pull the chat really quickly before we get to Jordan. Drop it in the chat who you think is going to ball out on the offense and defensive side. We want to see your guys' answers in the chat. While you're at it, like this video, like Jason's video, like us over here at the SF Niners. Let's get this vibe going. Keep the energy rolling. Drop in the chat who you want to see or think is going to ball out offense and defense. Jordan, same question to you. Who's it going to be on the offense and defensive side?
On offense, I'm going George Kittle. I think this is going to be a game. I mentioned that 2 days ago, I think, when we did a show. I think this is going to be a Kittle week. I think that Debo is somebody that's going to garner so much attention, and I think that Kittle, just the matchup is really favorable, especially if Dallas leans more on using Micah Parsons as an edge rusher and somebody to rush the passer. I just don't see an athlete in that linebacker group outside of him that can run with Kittle in the open field. And I also think there's a bit of inexperience there and over-aggressiveness. I just think we've seen in the past when these linebackers start having to creep towards the line of scrimmage and they have to start biting on these run fakes, that Jimmy to Kittle connection is something that's really special. So I think with the combination of Dallas really trying to do their best to take away Debo and the fact that I just think the matchup is really favorable, I think Greg Kittle has a big game today.
Greg Kittle.
Good old Greg.
I'm going DJ Jones. I think DJ Jones is a player who every week makes a play or two. When I go back and watch film, it doesn't really show up in a stat sheet. It won't register as like a sack or a big, forced fumble, but he breaks through the center of these offensive lines and is able to just generate so much havoc, especially when other teams are trying to run the ball. in between the tackles. So I think we're going to see DJ Jones, and I don't want to cheat and use 2, but I think Eric Armstead will have a good game too. I just think that these guys are going to make so many plays on the interior, and they're going to make it so hard for Dallas to get that comfortability. I'm really interested to see Tyron Smith and Nick Bosa go head-to-head. Those are 2 of the best players in the entire league at their respective positions. So that's going to be really fun. But while Bosa is, off there battling with Smith, I just don't see, like, Dallas's offensive line is really good, but the Niners can just send so many numbers at you on the interior. And when they're having to deal with not only Jones and Armstead, and then you have to throw in Kevin Givens and Kentavious Street and these guys over and over again, I just think it's going to wear down on them ultimately. So I'm going to go with DJ Jones, a guy who I think has been an unsung hero for a very long time. I think he's going to have a couple big plays today where he's getting that recognition on the national stage. And you're hearing Tony Romo and Jim Nantz and these guys going, oh, DJ Jones, 49ers fans know, but, where they give that like cliche, they give love to the player that the national audience might not know about. DJ Jones is going to be that guy today.
All right, so Jordan cheated a little bit. He threw Eric Armstead and DJ Jones.
I'm
going to
follow DJ Jones, just to be clear. I just want to throw it out there. A lot of people
I'm gonna cheat too a little bit. So
there's some hedging.
I want to go on the offensive side. I want to go Elijah Mitchell tied with the offensive line. I think the offensive line is going to come out balling. We've heard a lot of talk about Trent Williams missing the game last week and just really being tore up about it. And we know he is not only the leader of the offensive line room, but he is the leader of the entire team. Trent Williams provides an energy for this, not only offensive unit, but the entire team itself. So to see Trent Williams back out with Deebo Samuel leading this team onto the field yet again in a must-win game, I'm looking for Elijah Mitchell. I'm looking for the offensive line to have a field day. Again, the defense has some good, solid, stout edge defenders. DeMarcus Flores, Randy Gregory, Micah Parsons plays everywhere. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they attack, but I would love to see Elijah Mitchell attack the middle of this defensive line and see what they do. On the defensive side, I'm going Jimmy Ward. I don't know if you guys saw it, but we pulled up the post from CeeDee Lamb from 2020 when the 49ers and Cowboys played. If you guys don't remember, there was a play in that game where Jimmy Ward actually got knocked out unconscious on a tackle on CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb posted it with Jimmy Ward in the background, down and out, and he's saying pray for them. Jimmy Ward commented on that specific post, said, I'll see you soon. Well, guess what? Jimmy Ward is finally going to see CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb, but today I want to see CeeDee Lamb get rocked by Jimmy Ward. So I'm hoping Jimmy Ward has a fantastic day on the back end, especially going up against Dak and these weapons that they have. That's what I want to see. So I'm really excited to see who actually balls out. But Jordan, when you look at overall game flow for this game, how do you see it going? Is it going to be kind of a situation where the 49ers maybe start a little flat and then have to come on late at the end, kind of like we've seen? Or do you think it's going to be a situation where the 49ers start out hot, defense is firing? What do you kind of predict the game flow to be?
This is like a best case scenario, so I don't want to sound like jaded or like a homer or something, but I think the Niners are going to win the toss. I think they're going to defer. I think that they will not allow Dallas to score a touchdown. They might get a field goal, and then I think the Niners are going to come out with a beautifully scripted drive to start this. My concern is more so on the back end, like once you're out of those scripted plays and out of that comfortability, because we've just seen far too often, especially in the playoffs, when Kyle Shanahan has a chance to script these opening drives, it's really tough for opposing defenses to deal with. So I think it'll be the opposite of the Rams game, where the start won't be as slow, but there might be some concern towards the back half of the game when they're, starting to sputter a little bit. They might have a couple, drives that stall out. But I'm telling you, man, like I've made it no secret. Anybody who's, kept up with anything that I've written or done or talked about for years, like I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo guy. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and argue with you about how good Jimmy Garoppolo is. I think he's serviceable. I think he's better than he gets credit for at times. I have a feeling that he's just going to play like, he doesn't have to play like lights out. Like I think we're going to see a Josh Allen game where he throws for 5 touchdowns or anything like that. But I think he's going to be efficient, and I think he's going to take care of the football. And I think so often we've seen in this offense, if you're able to just avoid the costly mistakes, Kyle Shanahan's going to get guys open, and these playmakers are going to make plays with the ball in their hands. So I think we're going to see a Jimmy Garoppolo on demon time today. That's my bold prediction. I think we're going to see Mr. James Richard have again he could throw for 150 yards and no touchdowns, but if he does it in an efficient manner where he's making plays, he's converting on third down, I think they're going to be in a great spot. And I can't base that on anything other than just a gut instinct. And I'm telling you guys, like, I'm not a super pro Jimmy Garoppolo guy. I'm probably I would be the opposite of that if I had to lean one way or the other. I think he's going to get it done. And I think the Niners are really poised to make some noise in these playoffs.
What do you think about the game flow, Jason?
Yeah, I was going to say this thing about scripted stuff, but the guy smarter than me said it, so I'm not going to rehash that in any way. But I will echo his sentiments a little bit and say that I do think Jimmy Garoppolo does have a good game. There's something about this whole could be the last time, looking each other in the eye in the locker room type stuff, that it's hard to not, as a 49er fan, get those feelings, right? And I'm gonna echo these sentiments from Jordan too, that it doesn't feel like anything more than a gut feeling and a hope that this is what brings them together and they start to lock in. And I don't know if they're going to be in many positions where Jimmy's going to have to make some down the field throw. You always want to stay closer in distance on third down. It's just those darts on like 3rd and 7 that go for 9 that are perfectly placed over the middle of the field. Like those sort of plays, I think Jimmy's going to have a great amount there, and he's going to do enough to put the 49ers in position to win this game, which I believe they will.
Absolutely. I'm really hoping for lots of ground control, lots of, obviously, speaking off of what I was earlier, I want to see the 49ers control the clock. I want them to keep the 49ers offense on the side and just watch this team march up and down the field. I am very interested about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. It does feel like this is going to be it, right, guys? Like, this is it. Jimmy Garoppolo has an opportunity to ride onto the sunset here with the 49ers. Obviously, a lot of offseason conversation, a lot of in-season conversation has been about the quarterbacks. Jordan touched on it a little bit. But do you feel, and I'm assuming both you guys feel, that could actually have a big impact on the motivation of this team, right, Jason?
I believe so. I definitely do. A lot of these guys, again, I've said this before, their only taste of any sort of playoff success is with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they all understand it's a business. Jimmy has said so himself in press conferences about, we had that talk before the Rams game, and I understand what's happening behind the scenes. So there is a little bit of that, last ride. Can we make it a special one? And hopefully they can. But I do think that the locker room is a little bit tighter right now just because they know they got their guy and they got their shot and anything can happen. So I do believe that. I definitely do believe that there is a bit of extra motivation from guys who want to send Jimmy out the right way. And that just goes to speak to how much this locker room loves Jimmy Garoppolo and how behind them they really are, no matter what people would say from the outside or speculate.
Absolutely. Jordan, do you feel like there's an extra motivational aspect? Obviously, these guys are professionals. They get paid millions of dollars to play this game, but still, it's played by humans. Do you feel like there's a little bit of extra motivation, specifically too on the offensive side, just to get Jimmy Garoppolo to the next round?
Yeah, and I don't Jimmy's obviously like the guy who's been under the microscope the most, and he's the guy who's been, I said from the beginning, I think I said this in the preseason or something. I thought the way he's handled this has been extremely amicable. He didn't have to, publicly come out and be as supportive as he was about Trey Lance. He didn't have to. He could have just folded his arms and pouted all season. And as much as people are he's getting paid, he should do it. There's a human element to this. And I thought the way he's handled himself has been really good. So I do want to give him credit for that. But it's not just Jimmy. It's, Jaquiski Tartt's been with this team for 7 years now? He's on an expiring deal. Who knows if they'll be able to bring him back? Jason Verrett's obviously hurt. Mostert's hurt, but these guys are all still traveling with the team. They're together. Those guys are on expiring deals. There's so many guys that have been a part of either the past couple seasons, particularly that Super Bowl run, that have been there through the 49ers transitioning from that kind of rebuilding, starting from scratch under Kyle to being a bona fide contender. And it's not just Jimmy. There's a handful of guys on this team who don't know their future with this team. And I think that they all meant what they said last season when they wanted to have their, revenge tour and, come back and avenge that Super Bowl loss. And I think that there's a palpable sense of this is the last time, not only for Jimmy Garoppolo, but all of these guys. It might be the last time they get to play together. And we heard Arden Key talk about it. Just like we said, most teams you'd like to think, oh, they're close. They spend every week together for half the season or half the year. Of course they're going to be close. It's not like that at all for most teams. The 49ers are a very tight-knit group. And I think that they're not only going to do that for Jimmy Garoppolo, they might come out and say that and say we're winning for Jimmy, we're doing this for him. But I think it's beyond just him. I think it's just this whole group of players that know this might be their last chance. Because they could very well go and win the Super Bowl next year with Trey Lance, with a lot of guys who were still on the team in 2019. But guess what? It wouldn't be the same as avenging it with the guys that were there for that loss, that did feel that heartbreak. So I think that there is a great sense of urgency where these guys understand that, hey, if we put it together and we play the way we're capable of playing, we're a really hard team to beat. And there's nobody in this playoff field that we should fear. And that's where I think if they can get this win today, obviously there's a long path, and I don't like talking, Super Bowl, NFC Championship before you actually get there. But it's the kind of momentum that they need to start really believing, like, hey, we can do this. We've been there. We've done that. And that experience is invaluable, especially when you're going up against a team that's riddled with players that hasn't had that big moment playoff experience like Dallas.
Absolutely. My guy's spitting. Justin E says, Wimmy Garoppolo. Let's get that dub for Jimmy, for the fan base, and let's keep this thing going. Obviously, that would be huge for
Luke's? This one, I'm sorry. Dude, did you see Luke's? This is so good. Jimmy play Offalo.
No, I did not. That is legendary. That is absolutely legendary. Jimmy Playoffalo, we need him to show up today and obviously lead the 49ers to a victory. But some other people are showing up today, Jason. There's a lot of red. I'm getting tagged in a bunch of videos here from 49er fans in the stadium. It looks like the 49ers are well represented in Jerry's world. Are they going to be a factor today?
Damn right they are. And anybody who didn't think that was what was going to happen, you're crazy. Look, guys, ticket master doesn't discriminate. And if I have tickets and I live in Dallas and, I love my team, but I bought them for $200, but somebody is willing to buy them for 5 times that price, oh, yeah, I'm taking that money and putting it in my family's bank account and taking care of my family, and I'm going to watch the game at home. So what you think? The 49ers travel everywhere that I've been. And this is going back to when I started traveling for games in 2019. Tampa was like that. Washington was like that. Every single place was like that. And that's why Dallas fans were sending out those tweets early on. Do not sell to 49ers fans. Nobody cares, bro. They were going to be there. And if you thought that this was the day to do a whiteout, God help you, because there will be no whiteout. And I had no doubt in my mind that 49ers fans were going to invade Jerry World with that ferocity. They've done it before. And now look at this game and the magnitude of it. You didn't think they were going to do it now? That's your fault.
Jordan, are we going to see a similar impact the way the 49ers took over SoFi Stadium? I mean, we heard all the noise talking after the week from Rams coaches, players, wives, how they had to go on a silent count at SoFi Stadium, damn near Levi's South. Do you think we're going to see something similar today from the Red Sea and the San Francisco 49ers?
I think it'll make the Cowboys uncomfortable. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as prominent as it was in SoFi. And that's nothing against there. Just like you both said, there are some great fans that travel to that game. We've seen all the videos. They're going to be loud. They're going to bring noise. The difference is how many of them had to fly thousands of miles to get to Dallas, whereas in LA, the greater Southern California area has, like, the 49ers, maybe the Raiders, but definitely one of those two teams, not the Rams or Chargers, are the prominent fan base in that area. So you had thousands of people going to that game at SoFi that literally were driving 15, 20 minutes. Maybe in LA it took them 3 hours with traffic, but they're driving, a very short distance. They can do it in the same day. Jason knows that travel wears on you, and not everybody can do it. So I don't think it's going to be like this huge letdown if it's not the same, because, again, part of the reason why it's a home game in LA is because the 49ers are arguably the biggest fan base there. Having said that, the numbers that I've seen of people out there it's something that 49ers fans should take great pride in. And just like Jason said, the dumbest thing you could have done is try to have a whiteout when you know for a fact that there's going to be a mixed crowd, and it's just going to make, even if it's not all lined up, like college football games, half the stadium's one color, half the stadium's the other, they split the fans up, it's going to be scattered all over the place. And I'm not going to lie, as a Cowboys player, I'd be a little peeved if I'm sitting there and I get driven into the dirt, I get lit up by Fred Warner, I get sacked by Nick Bosa or Armstead or one of these guys, and I'm hearing cheers, not just cheers, but like explosive loudness, and you're sitting there like, are you kidding me, man? This is we fought all year for home field advantage to have my face in the turf and people are cheering about it. Like, that kind of stuff wears on you. I know we always talk about how human beings are playing this game. but that stuff matters. I feel like people think that just like robots play this game, and that stuff really does add up. So no, I don't think it'll be as big as SoFi, but I do still think it's going to play a big part in this game, especially if the 49ers are able to get out to a lead early. They're able to start getting some momentum because we've seen it before. The other thing I would add real quick, I think it's hilarious that the Niners, last time they went to Dallas pre-COVID and stuff when it was full seating, they took over. But when the Cowboys come here, it's like the same thing. It's like whenever the away team in this matchup goes to the other, they like bring their entire fan base with them. They like grab a U-Haul trailer and bring 80% of their fan base. I just think it's like hilarious that there's never going to be some kind of like home field advantage, it feels like, when these two teams play because of how well each fan base travel.
Absolutely. It's two of the best fan bases in all of sports facing off against each other. Two of the most storied franchises in NFL history and all of sport facing off for each other. It's leading itself to be one of the most epic playoff matchups, at least in my recent memory. I'm so hyped. I'm so excited. I do want to poll the chat though and ask the chat 0 to 10. How hyped are screw it, 0 to 100. How hyped are you about this game coming up against the 49ers versus playoffs? Jason, how hyped are you? I know as our resident 49ers fan on the other side of the coast, how are you feeling with all the history that you have going up against this matchup, Cowboys, everything? What are your hype levels like right now?
I'm at 10 right now, but I'm going to 12 in a few minutes when we get closer to kickoff. This is it right here. This can't go down this way. You cannot lose to the Dallas Cowboys. So now all of that stuff from last week, it's gone. It's 100% gone because that's over with. And now I know we said no more talking, but we just spent 40 minutes talking. This is now it's no more talking right after this. No more talking.
Yes, right.
Let's get to it. And the 49ers have everything at their disposal to get this done. And this should be an amazing matchup. But yeah, this has a little bit of a different feel right now because of who the opponent is. Any playoff game is going to be juiced. But we're talking about 49ers Cowboys. And this is something that many 49er fans remember that rivalry. Not fondly, they just remember it. Like the only reason we remember it fondly was because we won the last one of those. But other than that, I remember those feelings of losing to the Cowboys and it was like year after year would be the same thing. So there is no way that they can allow this to happen. And right now I'm on 10. I'll be on 12 in a little bit, though.
Absolutely. You can see right now the chat is absolutely juiced up for this game. It is right around the corner. Jordan, now I know you like to keep it down the middle and you like to look at all ranges of outcomes and all different sides and everything. But as a fan, as a pure fan of the San Francisco 49ers, how freaking hyped are you?
They made the playoffs, and that to me, like watching them play football in the playoffs is all that I wanted this season. I thought that once they got in, we could start having these discussions about them potentially making a run. So I'm really excited that we get to see them in January and see them play football at the highest level when the stakes are the highest. And it feels good because that's what any sports fan wants. They want to feel like every year their team is going to be in the mix. And I think preseason, we've talked ourselves into it the last few years, and they obviously only had 1 year prior to this where they got in and actually did it. But I am excited to see how the 49ers respond because this is the first time that they've played a road game. I don't count the Super Bowl as a road game. So it's the first time we've seen them on the road under Kyle Shanahan. And as much as, I got so much pushback when I said that I wrote an article about what the Niners can do to upset Dallas. Dallas is 12-5. They're at home, and they're a 3-point favorite. I'm sorry. I understand the Niners are confident. I think that they can win this game. That's an upset by every definition if the Niners win this game. And it was so funny to me how confident 49ers fans are about this. And I think that there's a reason why. It's just because the matchup favors them, I feel like, so much more. Like if they were going to Tampa this week, even like Green Bay or something, I might not feel as great about it. But everything that they do well really puts the Cowboys in a situation where they're uncomfortable. So as a fan, I'm excited, but as a fan of the sport, I'm really excited to see, because I talked to you about it the other day, right? I'm 26. I never saw the, Niners, Cowboys stuff. The biggest game I ever saw was when I was like 5 years old and T.O. did the dance in the middle of the star. Like I have memories of that. Outside of that, there's not really any defining moment. I was there for the overtime game they lost in 2011. But other than that, this doesn't carry the same weight. So I'm really excited to see the history and hear the stories and see how fun. Like it's really made me happy to see I don't want to use the word older because I feel like that's very ageist, but the people who are more seasoned 49ers fans like Mr. Aponte bring up memories of nostalgia and bring up this stuff where they're like, I don't care if it's been 10 years, 20 years. I hate the Dallas Cowboys. I will always hate them. So it's really cool to see. And it's on the other side too. Like we did a live the other day and it was loaded with Cowboys fans. So I love the camaraderie here. As a fan of the sport of football, I'm more excited than a 49ers fan, if that makes sense, because these are the kind of matchups that really make me love and appreciate sports, and particularly the NFL. So I'm really excited to see how it goes.
I just hope both teams have fun. Basically, is what Jordan said.
I'm basically Rob Lowe with the NFL. Like I'm obviously like I got my Niners jacket on, but I'm basically Rob Lowe at the NFC Championship game. Like that's how I feel. Like if the Niners can win this in a like close last minute field goal or something like that, perfect. Best outcome possible for me. Yeah. I would rather watch that than a blowout. And Niners fans don't want to hear that, but I'm just saying for me personally, I would rather watch that. So
I just want to watch a win. And you know what? If I got to go through it and my Apple Watch has to say like call the ambulance, all right, that's fine as long as it ends in a win.
You're going to be next on one of those Apple Watch commercials. It's going to be a picture of
Jason. You're going to be like Jason on the floor. I'm just going for the fourth down, man. That's
it is Niner dude.
Like, that's what I'm yelling about.
What's Ryan's running over there?
What's your emergency? What the hell is Ryan's running over there, man? Oh, my God. They're showing too high. They need to move down and bring somebody in the box. Can you send the ambulance?
Oh, my God. I freaking love it. Justin says Arden Key earns his second contract today. Could absolutely do it. I could see it happening. Ron says the Cowboys are soft. Can't wait to watch them fold. I hope that's the case. But speaking of scores, speaking of all that this is the portion of our episode where we do score predictions. And most importantly, in the chat, we want to see what score you think is going to be the outcome. It's going to be our last opportunity to throw out score predictions. Hopefully you guys get it right, but let's find out. Drop your score predictions in the chat. Let's start with Jordan. What do you feel like this game, the ranges of outcomes are going to look like on the scoreboard when it's all said and done?
30-24 Niners. They either score a touchdown, down one to take that lead, or they kick a field goal to extend an already 3-point lead. Dallas has to go the length of the field, and that 49ers pass rush steps up and holds them at the end to get them to Green Bay next week.
Oh, I like that. What about you, Jason?
This guy, man, I'm tired of him speaking in front of me. 31-24 Niners, and they win by 7, and it's going to be either the 49ers score from a tied game or they stop the Cowboys trying to tie the game. I mean, it's just I've got it 31-24. But 30 is the magic number, and I think the 49ers get there. And as long as they do, then they put themselves in a position where you feel really bad if you can't pull it off with 31 points. But I think that's the magic number, and the Niners get there.
Absolutely. I think we're all in the same area. I got 27-24. It's going to come down to the wire, whether it's the 49ers scoring at the end or the Cowboys scoring at the end. It feels like it's going to be another finish for the ages, another storybook to add in the tip of the cap for the 49ers and Cowboys rivalry. Boys, is the rivalry that was once known as one of the best rivalries in all of sports, is that going to be back after today? Jason, are we going to be back to talking about Cowboys 49ers rivalry after this?
Hell yeah. And trust me, the NFL wants this. Like I pointed out, Guy Haberman pointed out, the 1995 NFC Championship is still the 4th highest viewed NFC title game in NFL history. And remember, there were no HD TVs. Everybody wasn't, watching it from YouTube TV, whatever, any platform, anything like that. Just think about that. And that's not because the 49ers and Cowboys were, yes, they're the bigger brands. But again, that's what we're talking about. Like a lot of people hate like Boston, New York, LA, San Francisco in baseball, Boston, LA in the NBA. That's that sort of rivalry. And trust me, the NFL wants this more than anything. And this was their dream matchup this entire time.
Yeah. What do you think, Jordan? Is the rivalry back after this? Also, is there going to be a Jordan YouTube page coming soon?
Oh, let's go.
There might be. I might be cooking.
Yes.
We'll see. Maybe. But yes, if I do, I will be sure to let you know, Luke, because I always appreciate your comments. They always put a smile on my face.
Let's go.
If the NFL was smart, they would have the 49ers and Cowboys play every single season. Like, remember when it felt like the Niners had to go to New Orleans every single year? Like, just do that, but have the Niners go to Dallas every year. And you'd like to see it be more consistent. I always thought it was kind of ridiculous that the Saints never seem to come here during the regular season, but the Niners obviously show out and travel very well to both those places. So I would literally have these two teams play every single year because it's going to be a ratings machine. It's both teams are set up, you'd like to think, for success in the future. So you get, like the NFL's a business. They make it no secret. Like, money is number one. That's what rules their decision making. It would be a cash cow to have the Niners play the Cowboys every single season, or at least not have them only play in the playoffs if they happen to match up, or only play once every 4 years when they have the, divisional round matchups versus, the NFC East and whatnot. So yeah, they should have them play every single season. Like, there's no excuse not to do that. I just think that the ratings, just like Jason mentioned, like, I wasn't even born when that game happened. So that's how long ago it's been. And it's the fourth highest. Like, that's insane if you think about it. So there's no reason other than just pure negligence to not have these two teams play at least once a year every season.
I mean, it feels like we're on the brink of something special today. The energy just in our chat alone on these lives is phenomenal. Can't imagine what the energy is like out on the ground floor. Is it true that it is Luke Luna's birthday today? And if so, we have to give a shout out, whole chat, to say happy birthday to an OG Sourdough Squad member. Drop a happy birthday in the chat for Luke Luna, the man himself. We appreciate you, Luke, always vibing with us, always having a good time. We really do appreciate it. Quickly here, before we start heading and getting ready for this game, guys, are you nervous? What are the nerves like today, Jason? Are you quietly confident? You seem calm, cool, and collected per usual. But how are we feeling deep down on the inside?
Let's just see how this game goes. I'm chilling right now because I'm trying to save all my energy for the game, and I'm certain that there will be a roller coaster of emotions during the game. So, just save it for right now. Right now, you're just waiting. But I think once that ball gets kicked off, that's when the heart rate starts to go up, and that's when things start to happen in that way. But at this point right now, I'm just calm before the storm. I'm literally going to sit right in this seat and watch this game from my laptop like Lenny from The Simpsons, like this. I'm not going to move, not going to breathe, anything like that. And also, just give me a little bit of time to get out of here so I can go to the liquor store real quick, because one way or another, I'm going to need it.
Jordan, how are you feeling? What's the nerves like right now?
I'll be honest, I feel terrible right now. So, and it's nothing to do with the game. I'm getting sick with something right now, and I don't have the energy to be nervous. So it might work out in my favor. I will be expending all my energy, keeping my eyes open and trying to stay awake during this game. So I don't, and aside from that, I'm just joking, obviously, but aside from that, I was way more nervous about the Rams game. I don't know about you guys. I felt way more nervous going into that game than this game. I just stylistically, like what the Niners want to do, if they're able to execute and play the way they are capable of playing, their chances are phenomenal in this game. And I hate to be this guy and say this, but it really does make me feel better as a sports fan. If they don't play up to that level, they don't deserve to move on. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, duh, like, obvious. But, like, really, though, like, if the Warriors don't play like that, hey, good season. They made the playoffs. They build on it. They go next year. But if they do play like they're capable of playing, all of a sudden, this Niners team starts picking up momentum next week on NFL Network and ESPN and all these channels. Do you want to play the Niners? Here we go. And how cool would it be to get another game like we had when it was, like, 0 degrees in Green Bay? I say that in my, apartment in Santa Clara, where the players have to be on the field. It's easy for me to say, but how cool would that be to get another game in Lambeau? So I'm focused on today, but I'm just saying that, like, this matchup, like, feels like it's like the saying I keep coming back to is styles make fights, right? You can have a guy who's a superior fighter, boxer, whatever, but if they don't match up stylistically with somebody who's inferior, they can have problems. The Niners not only aren't inferior, but I still think they have that mismatch. And I think that the style of football they want to play is the opposite of the way that the Cowboys want to play. And if the Niners can dictate the terms of engagement in this game and dictate how this goes, I feel great about their chances. And I hate saying that because I like to think I'm even keeled and objective and not blinded by, but I think they're going to win this game, man. Like, I feel really good. And I feel really good about Jimmy Garoppolo being a big part of that. And I don't think either of you have ever heard me say that. When have I ever been like going out of my way to be like, hey, I think Jimmy's going to be really good today? Like, I think it's coming.
Dude, real quick, something that just broke, My Sports Update just tweeted. So apparently Troy Aikman went on a rant during this Bucs-Eagles game about why he had to come and watch this game as opposed to do the 49ers-Cowboys game.
Is it Romo calling this game?
Yeah, it's Romo and Nance. Yeah.
The GOATs.
The GOATs. Oh, Aikman's peeved about that. He's like, I should be in Dallas right now.
It should have been me, not him. Not fair.
Also,
my goodness.
Happy birthday to Luke. I forgot to say that. Luke is the man. He's always in here supporting Brad and here for the lives on here for. So happy birthday, dude. I hope you have a great day.
Yup, happy birthday, Luke. You are my first favorite Luna. Leo has been bumped down one.
He's adjust the rankings.
Adjust the rankings. The
Siren,
rankings.
Siren.
Adjust the rankings, Siren.
Oh, woo, woo. Oh, my goodness. I freaking love it, dude. The energy's so freaking good right now. We gotta
laugh now, dude. We gotta laugh now.
We don't know what it's going to be at the end of this. Before we head out, guys, any last points that we want to touch on? Jason, I'll start with you.
What a freaking season, and I'm not ready for it to be done. Okay, 49ers, you heard me. You're watching right now. I know you're not warming up on the field. You're watching on your phone. You're watching Jordan and Brad and I, and you're trying to get motivation from us. So listen up. Play your game. Bully the bullies. Do what they say that they're going to do to you. Do it to them. You're better than them. You can execute better than them, and you are about to pull off something where you're about to leave a whole nation of fans miserable. Look in my eyes, Kyle. I know you're watching right now. You got this, bro. You got this. Okay, that's like my movie thing from Remember the Titans. Remember, like when he walks up and he tells that story about his family being down. Mine just says, "You got this, bro." What are you, a girl or something? Like from what's that from? What's the movie with this guy, Robert Downey and the guy from The Hangover, Due Date? When he's like, he goes, "You busted," and he goes, "You got to give your team a huge hype," and he's just like, "What are you guys doing over there, Stan? What are you?" You're running like a girl or something. What are you, a girl out there or something? But no, just have fun. I'm having a blast with this. And yeah, the anxiety will go up when it is time. But 49ers Cowboys, it doesn't get any better than this, man. And throw the analysis out the window. It's time to stop being objective. It's time to start that trash talk, get loud. And we all want one thing, no matter what we say in our analysis, is that the 49ers win, man.
Absolutely. Well said, man. Jordan, what do we got here on our way out into what will be one of the most epic playoff games that we've seen in our lifetime?
I just love it, dude. A lot of energy, a lot of focus. I think that
I'm ready to do a desk pop.
Desk pop. What was the last time you did a desk pop?
September 08.
08. I think that
it was so convincing.
The Niners are in a spot where, again, they need to win today, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I feel really good about their chance. And it's really weird because there's been times this year where I'm like I've tried to say all year that I think they're a team that's capable of competing with anybody. And what I kept getting back was, well, if they are, they wouldn't commit these penalties and they wouldn't make these mistakes. And that's a totally fair point. But I think that they're at a point now. Something about winning a game the way they did last week, I think instills a confidence in those guys that you just can't put a measure on. There's no metric, analytics, any kind of number that you can really adequately describe it with. And I just think that the 49ers are poised to do something special, because if they were to go into Dallas and win this game, obviously you take it one game at a time, but the way it sets up to then go into Green Bay, this could be the start of an all-time journey through the playoffs. And it starts today. They have to win today. But I just don't want to lose sight of I always like to look back on where I came from with certain things. And if they are rolling today and they are going to the next round, just remember how many times this year when people counted them out and said that they were done and said that they weren't a playoff team and they should just start Trey Lance and, give up on the season. Or when they're down 17-0 to the Rams, or Jimmy has to go 88 yards. And they just always seem to find a way. And I think that is indicative of a team that is, I don't want to use the word destiny because I am no authority to throw the word destiny out there, but it really makes you wonder. And if it continues to go that way, I'm just saying there's going to be thoughts floating around up here about that word destiny. So we'll see how it goes.
And we know that the recent history with the 49ers isn't they make the playoffs and just leave right away. It's either they give you a run that you didn't see coming or you expected, but it's never we're out in the first round. I want to throw something out if we control another fan base. Russell Wilson. First round exits 1, Jimmy Garoppolo 0.
Ooh, boy, the vibes.
Respect the QB sneak, pal.
Respect QB1.
Can I do something while there's still people in here? Because I did it. I don't know if everybody has Twitter. Jimmy Garoppolo has the second highest winning percentage on the road of any quarterback since the NFL merger in 1970. And 25 games isn't a huge sample size, but it's also not small either. For whatever reason, Jimmy Garoppolo goes to another level on the road. So maybe them going on the road in these playoffs is ultimately the best thing for him. I would also add too, Jimmy Garoppolo is number 2 on that list. Joe Montana is number 3. So Jimmy Garoppolo has a better career win percentage on the road than arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. So I just thought I would throw that out there, let people marinate on that as we exit left out of the slide.
Spicy nuggets from
Facts
Jordan.
over feelings.
My goodness, boys.
Maybe we save this for another day, but can we do a live? I think it would be great, and honestly, people would come to it just to get upset, which is really funny. But can we do one titled, like, could Joe Montana run Kyle's offense? Because I think that conversation would be fun.
Oh, my God. I mean, honestly, we would bring – you know what's the best part is that would be such a clickbait title, and then you'd get here, and we would objectively talk about it and probably get to the same conclusion that, yes, obviously he could. But just that idea that people would just be in there frothing at the mouth in the comments, not waiting for us to talk about objectively. There might be a world where that doesn't work, even though it's not likely. I love it, Jordan. That is supreme content right there, man.
Jordan is thinking like a legitimate content creator. That YouTube got to be coming soon for the Splash Cousin, so we make it the trifecta here. It's got to be coming soon. Hopefully after 49ers W as we continue to move on, man. Guys, I'm freaking excited. I can't wait. The energy going into this game has been insane. It's up for grabs. I don't really care. I'm along for the ride at this point. So I'm really excited to see what comes of it all. But Jason, Jordan, tell the fine people here in the chat who are vibing with us, who are ready for this epic playoff game, where to find more of your content and all that good stuff. I'll start with you, Jordan.
You can find me on Twitter. My @'s at the bottom of the screen. And then you can find me at Niners Nation. Regardless of the outcome today, I will be writing something tonight that goes out tomorrow. I'm hoping that it is something positive and looking forward to next week and not, hey, they gave it their best and they lost. But regardless, I will do my best to objectively sum up what I saw, or my best ability to be objective with what I subjectively saw with my own eyes today. So, and a lot of great writers at Niners Nation, a lot of great podcast content and stuff. If you guys aren't already familiar with them, I highly recommend checking it out. There's consistent content throughout the week and the off season, so it's just a great spot if you are looking for Niners stuff.
Jason, where do the good people find more of your content?
Yeah, at Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter. I'm not really going to be doing too much throughout this game. I'm going to stick to what I did with the Rams game, so I don't cold take myself, and I'm just going to try to ride through the emotions. But tap in on the YouTube channel, Jason Aponte. Post game, if you guys are down, maybe we cross stream the post game as well too. I'm down for that. So either way, there's going to be a stream going up right after the game, like as soon as it hits 0, so we can talk through the emotions of whatever the outcome is. But I'm still expecting a 49ers win, so we're going to pull up and we're going to celebrate.
Absolutely. Post-game vibes hopefully will be legendary. Make sure you follow both of these boys. Again, we are running a dual stream. Make sure you're following Jason. Make sure you're following the SF Niners. And stay locked in for all the content that's coming after the game, because win or lose, we'll be here to talk about it all. Let's go. It's going to be a wild ride, guys. I'm super excited. Let's see what we get. Thank you to all you guys who vibed with us today on this pregame. We had a bunch of people in here, and we really do appreciate the support as always. Always make sure to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. But until then, we will see you guys after this epic matchup for the ages. Until then, you guys be safe. Let's go Niners.